when there's no more room in hell.
The dead will start a podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to No More Room in Hell number 52. This is one quarter of your hosting team tonight, Mike. Joining me as always is Mr. Venom. What's up, Venom?
Greetings and salutations, sleazeballs. Yeah, I'm doing pretty well, Mike. How the hell are you doing?
I am doing well. It's heating up really quick out here in Northern California, so recording a show with the word hell in it seems appropriate. But let's get to our next co-host. It's Derek. What's up, Derek? How are you?
It was a journey to get here, Mike. But I'm here.
It's a struggle, one that I hope is worth. We'll find out shortly. And then we actually have a guest again on this episode. It's people might think that like I purposely had him pick the movies, but honestly, no. I these are movies I wanted to pick, and then I kind of reached out because I was like, hey, this person has a history with Asian horror cinema and is heavily involved in the scene as far as watching, reviewing, all that kind of stuff. So it seemed like a natural fit, and we were able to make it work. He's been courteous enough to stick with us through our delays, but we're finally here. You should be familiar for anyone that listens to Fresh Cuts, and the surprise is ruined. It's Don Anelli. What's up, Don? How are you?
Yeah, what's going on? Always happy to be here, especially with this pretty much being my podcasting family. So yeah, it's finally great to talk to everybody all at once for, I think, only like the second or third time now. But yeah, my podcasting family is all here together.
Yeah, I figured it was going to happen eventually, either here or Creature Comforts. I was like, one of the two, it'll happen. We'll all be together. So it happened here first. But yeah, eventually I'll try to get on Creature Comforts because I've been listening to that, and it's always fun. And I love creature feature movies too. So yeah, tonight we're going to be talking a couple Shaw Brothers horror movies. So I've been recently kind of revisiting Shaw Brothers stuff. I mean, there's an abundance of it out there. A lot of it's easily attainable, either like on Prime has a bunch, YouTube has a bunch. There's even like channels on YouTube dedicated to it. And then like your actual, paid subscription streaming services usually have a good amount just because there's so many out there. And I had not seen a lot of Shaw Brothers horror movies though. Boxer's Omen, I believe, is like the one that most people probably know. That's why I kind of shied away from picking it on this round, but it could be a future pick, definitely. So I kind of just went with like a couple random ones that I had never seen, and that'd be Curse of Evil and Haunted Tales. So we'll be talking about those later on. But we'll start off with how we usually start, and that's catching up on what we've been watching. So Venom, what do you got up first?
All right, let's see. First thing on tap this week is a little independent movie called Blood. This was actually released in Russia last year, but it came out here in the States in 2023, in January, actually. This one has a familiar name in it. Mr. Skeet Ulrich from Scream fame is in this one. And basically, we have the story of a mother who is moving into her childhood home with her daughter and young son. They obviously aren't having the greatest of times, moving around. And eventually the young son gets bitten by a dog. It's actually the family dog. This story is very similar to Cujo, but instead of the dog being the main antagonist of the movie, the dog ends up biting someone else, another member of the family, and then they become the main antagonist of the film. So it's pretty interesting, actually. I did actually enjoy it. I gave it a really high rating, even though it's been close to a month and a half since I've watched it. So I'm struggling to remember whole scenes from it, but I did give it a really good rating. So I would recommend it. I thought it was going to be a vampire movie. I think most people kind of go in that direction when they hear the word blood as a title.
Yeah, the title.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Big time. So, but yeah, as it turns out, it's kind of more of like a rabies-esque type story. So works out pretty well. Not sure if anybody else has seen it, but I did enjoy it.
Is
Yeah,
it Michelle? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I saw it earlier in the year. I liked it, but I thought it was kind of overlong and kind of really subtle and really needed some more action.
It is long and it is subtle. You're right on both counts, but for
Yeah.
whatever reason, that works for me sometimes. Derek, you were going to say?
Yeah, I didn't see it, but I remember seeing posters. That's the one with like Michelle Monaghan plays the mom. in it.
Yep, exactly.
I've been curious on it, so yeah, I definitely want to check that out eventually.
Yeah, it's fun. Like I said, I liked it. Well, fun might not be the right word. It's a good film.
It's
Worth
fun.
watching.
It's
Worth
fun in
watching
a
for
different
sure,
way.
yeah. Worth watching
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, not necessarily one that I'm really raving about, but I mean, I've seen much worse. So
Yeah, me too.
There you go. First thing I've been watching, Blood. Who's next?
I'm next.
Go.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be fucking. Last episode I had to bring up a DC movie for Mike, and I'm like, maybe I'll be nice to Mike this day. Nope, bringing up a DC animated movie again, brand new movie called Batman: The Doom That Came to Gotham. Yeah, this is based on the graphic novel written by Mike Mignola. You probably recognize that name if he's the guy who created Hellboy. Yeah, it's pretty much like takes place in like this alternate universe where it's kind of like modern but not modern, if that makes sense. It's kind of like steampunk Batman, if that makes sense. And it's kind of cool in that aspect where Batman ends up going and finding like that there's this secret plot that's involving this cult called Ghoul. Seem familiar? Yeah, and they're resurrecting like these ancient old interdimensional gods. That sounds familiar too if you're a fan of H.P. Lovecraft. Yeah, this is a very Lovecraftian horror film which has some awesome like Lovecraftian spins on famous Batman foes. Like you got like Mr. Freeze is very much like the Cold Air story. And you got like this weird version of the Penguin that actually lives with penguins in Antarctica. And there's actually a cool spin on Poison Ivy and Killer Croc that are very Lovecraftian based in their looks. And it's kind of cool in that aspect. And oh yeah, you see a lot of tentacles in this movie because H.P. Lovecraft and tentacles goes well. And the ending's fucking insane because there's a lot of like, hell, we can even cover this on Creature Comfort. Spoiler alert, but there's some fucking awesome monster battles at the end. I'm not going to say who, but yeah. It goes in a direction I did not see going, and it goes off the wall crazy. And there's lots of death and violence in it too, which is awesome.
Sounds like fun. I got to check that out. DC heroes with Lovecraft monsters. Oh my God. How have I not already bought that?
Hell yeah. 4K looks amazing too.
Oh, I'm sure. Nice. I'll look for that one.
Yeah, I think that actually sounds pretty interesting. So I might have
Yeah.
to check it out too.
Yeah, Mike Mignola, whatever his last name is, fucking has his name, and there's going to be tentacles involved somehow.
Hell yeah. All right, Don, what you got?
All right, so I've got a couple here. Unfortunately, most of my picks are kind of tied up with a project I've been doing recently where I'm guessing on another show, and I was going to talk about this on Monday. A lot of the stuff I've been watching has been tied up for that. But there are a few that I did watch for myself. And the first one I'm going to do is an independent film that I got from a friend of mine on Facebook. He's the director of it. And it's called Craving. So it's indie creature feature. Again, kind of creature comforts thing. But it's about this group of patrons in this desert bar. They're going about their lives one night. And they're interrupted by this gang of. Initially, we're led to believe that they're outlaws on the run. They come barreling into the bar, having a shootout with something. and take the bar hostage, the usual spiel. And eventually we come to find out that they themselves are on the run from a second gang of hunters who are looking for one of the members of the first gang who's taken over the bar, because he's actually infected with this genetic mutation that will turn him into this, I struggle to call it a insect-like creature. It kind of looks like a rock monster meets a insect, but trust me, that description does not do it justice. It's a pretty gnarly looking deformity. And we're basically, it tells 3 different stories. So there's a bunch of backstories that go into how the leader of the hunters is trying to track down the creation of this thing. It's basically wiped out his entire family, and he's gathered a small group of hunters and like-minded, mercenaries to track this thing throughout the years. It takes place over the course of like 2 or 3 decades. So he's basically been trying to fight it for, these past several years, and he's finally tracked it down to this one guy that's taken over the bar. Then we get into, the backstory of several of the patrons inside the bar, how they all know each other, what's going on with them. And then it's the group of, it's the first group that overtook the bar, the one that comes in guns blazing, and they hold the secret of this guy that's turned into this creature. And it's pretty fun. I mean, it's obviously low budget. Everything is kind of one location. Everything is, not low rent, but it's very obviously done on an indie budget. But I had fun with it. The creature attacks are limited. It's basically, everybody talking at each other and, flashbacks for the first hour and 10 minutes. And then we get 20 minutes of, creature action where it runs wild and starts ripping people to pieces and all that kind of stuff. So it's interesting enough. Like I said, I liked it. I'm not going to call it a year-end, spectacular or anything. But if you're interested in low-budget creature features and you like these, crowd-funded Indiegogo kind of films that show up on Prime or Tubi or places like that, give it a watch, because it has its moments. It's got Felissa Rose, who's only in it for 5 minutes. But yeah, it's not bad. I liked it. It's not gonna top the list or anything. But like I said, if you're into this kind of thing, it's definitely worth a watch.
It'd be awesome if The Rock played the rock insect monster.
It's not that kind of. It's a really small guy. He's kind of on a linkier side.
Oh,
so he's not like. Yeah, he's not. They have a big hulking, muscle man in the group, but they don't make him the monster. They make the small, lanky one the monster.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, I mean, it's a vicious-looking thing. I mean, I wish that there was. When they gave me the screener, they gave me a few screen caps to use for the review, and I wish one of them included the creature, but they didn't. So I don't have a. You can't, it's on my website, but there's no way to get a look at what the creature actually looks like. Yeah, like I said, when they gave me the screener for it, I wish that they would have included a screen cap of the creature, but they kind of gave me action shots of some of the actors to use. So I mean, that was kind of the only material I had to work with.
Yeah, fucking morons. Creature fucking screenshot would have gotten more views.
Probably, yeah. Because, I mean, like I said, it looks really weird because it looks kind of like a rocky... There's, a bunch of, it looks really weird because it has, insectoid features, but then it's, humanoid. But then it has, its chest looks like it's made out of granite or something.
Is that out yet, officially done?
They gave a description saying that it was on Prime. So...
I'll have to check that out, then.
Yeah, like I said, it came out the week we're recording this, so it'll probably be a little bit more widely available by the time it comes out, based on how slow Mike is editing. But yeah, the week we're recording this, they gave me the link and said that it's available on Prime. So, like I said, it could be available in more places based on Mike's editing skills. But yeah, the week we're recording this, they set Prime, so more places could be available by the coming days.
Damn, man, I thought I burned Michael up.
I know, damn, my editing timely fashion got called out twice there. And we're in the opening segment of the show. All right.
I think it would be easier to go for that than your punctuality, because that's just so low-hanging fruit. That's not even a burden.
Hey, I'll blame my kids for that. All right, my first thing up is Kids versus Aliens. I believe it's on Shudder. I watched this a little while ago, probably closer to like when we were originally going to record, so I can't remember if that's the streaming service that it's on, but I'm
Shudder,
pretty sure.
yeah.
It is, yeah. I got the screener for it too.
And I think I read it was like based on a short initially, because the movie itself isn't even that long. I think it's like maybe even under 80 minutes.
Yeah, it's based on the VHS 2 short, the Alien one.
Oh, okay. That
Same
makes
director.
sense then. Ah, okay. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, I mean, it gets right to it. There's not a lot of waste of time. A quick run time. I thought the alien design was pretty cool. I mean, I would say it's like, it's more fun than hardcore horror, but something you could watch with your family. Nothing too gory, but there is some good content in there. The kids are like little assholes for the most part. It's kind of like, I think it's mostly more like younger teens, and then there's an older sister who gets in like.
Who's gonna love this movie?
There's an older sister with like that starts becoming friends with like the town bullies or whatever, and
yeah, the town
they
assholes.
all play a part. Yeah, and the scope of it actually gets like a little bigger once like the aliens come in and they kind of take people hostage, and you see like where the movie's going. I was surprised at the scope that it gets pretty big as far as the set and stuff, but it's pretty cool and interesting and fun. And like I said, a quick watch, Shudder. So I would say definitely check it out. Has anyone seen this one yet?
Yeah, I did. I was excited for it because it's Jason Eisner's like second full-length feature since Hobo with a Shotgun. So I was like, damn, he kind of did like a side thing too, where he like, hey, how we made like the fake trailer of Hobo, they made it the full-length feature. It's kind of like his second movie is a fucking version of something he already did again, which I find cool that he expanded the story of that short and made it like a movie. It was kind of a cool aspect of it, and yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it seems like that's not all that uncommon these days. Is like all these shorts are getting made, and then if they're popular, it's like, okay, let's turn it into a feature.
Hell, directors are remaking their own movies now.
Yeah, really. That's the best way to sell their movies now. Is like, well, technically, I already made this. Can I just make it again?
Yeah, I just made it with lower budget. Can I just make it again?
Yeah. But for sure, yeah, Kids vs. Aliens, check it out on Shudder. So back to you, Venom.
All right, for my next one, this is going to be a film that, excuse me, I actually brought it up on Fresh Cuts recently because this movie, unfortunately, was released on the same week as two other big release horror films. Those two films, of course, were Renfield and The Pope's Exorcist. So the film I'm bringing to the table right now is called Nefarious. Nefarious stars Sean Patrick Flannery as
Boondock Saints for life.
Who actually plays a serial killer named Wayne Brady, of all things. Yeah, I know. But anyway, the movie is basically a long conversation. 80 to 90% of this film takes place in one room with two people. So it's Sean Patrick as Wayne Brady as a serial killer who's claiming to be possessed by a demon, not even just any demon, but like a very high-ranking demon, whose name actually translates to nefarious. And then the other character in the movie is a psychiatrist who's basically determining if this person is sane enough to be executed. Basically, he's supposed to be executed that night. but they need one more psychiatrist to sign off saying that this guy's not crazy, that he knows, what's going on and blah, 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 and that he can be executed. So that's the majority of the movie. It's just two guys talking in a room, but I found it so fucking riveting. This movie hangs on Sean Patrick Flannery's performance, and it is fucking stellar. I think it is a spectacular performance because he's going back and forth between the possessed character speaking through the demon, and then when the demon kind of steps away from the body, then he's playing the actual Wayne Brady. And it's just such a great little film. And ultimately, like I said, we get this big culmination. Does he get executed? Does he not? I'll leave that up to you guys to watch. But for whatever it's worth. Oh, and one thing I said on Fresh Cuts that I do have to repeat here. This is not a horror movie. I can't stress that enough. This is a psychological thriller, solidly. There's no gore. There's no blood. I don't think there's any. There might be one on-screen death in the whole film. But yeah, this was just one that really stuck with me. It's something that I was thinking about for days after the film, just this conversation between these two. This played in theaters. This literally, like I said, it released in theaters 2 weeks ago, same day as The Pope's Exorcist and Renfield. And it was only playing on one screen in LA, so it probably didn't get a whole lot of press. But when this thing comes out on VOD, if you're down to watch a nice, a legitimately creepy psychological thriller, then I would definitely recommend Nefarious. I'm going to assume no one else has seen it since this was such a limited release in LA.
Yeah, I guess not. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Unfortunately, it was very limited here too, and it's like the one time it was showing, I wasn't able to get there. But I did remember when we were talking about like possible contenders for Fresh Cuts that week. It did look interesting to me.
Yeah, and it was sadly, it's probably the best of the three movies. We did episodes for Renfield and Pope's Exorcist because they were obvious. I mean, those were some big horror releases, but honestly, Nefarious was the movie of that weekend. I just absolutely enjoyed it, every minute of it. Next.
Oh, yeah,
All
it's me. My bad.
Yeah, back to Derek.
Yeah. So, as you guys know from all our back talks, I was sick for a few weeks here, and, that's always fun. It was like The Exorcist on both sides. Let's just put it that way. But, so I went, I didn't really get to watch a lot. I was planning to go see movies and shit, but shit got in the way, and literally. I watched Larry Cohen's It's Alive trilogy. I'm not going to talk about them all. I'm just going to give like a brief review of all of them. They're killer baby movies. And they're funny, and they're great and cheesy. And, it's great when you watch It's Alive and then you just back it up with It's Alive 2, because It's Alive 2 is like a fucking great sequel, because it brings back like the main character from the first movie, and he's trying to help these other parents who might have a fucking mutant baby. And then you have the guy from The Godfather. She was the best piece of ass I ever had, Get out of my house. He plays the bad guy in the movie. It's fucking amazing. But, It's Alive 3 is fucking cheesy with fucking Michael Moriarty. Fucking as one of the baby's dads, and he goes, and it has like they go to the island where they all banned them, and they're all adults now. And it's cheesy and funny at the same time. But, for the time periods, all three of them came out, great social commentary about the subject matter, because, this is a subject that's still going on today about babies' rights and shit like that. And, fun stuff, fun trilogy. The Scream Factory Blu-rays look great. The babies look cheesy as all fuck, made by Rick Baker. And and you can't beat the first two because they have those fantastic Bernard Herrmann scores, which are awesome.
I saw the first It's Alive when it first came out at the drive-in. What was that, like 70 something?
74, I think.
74. So I probably was So I was 4 years old. And obviously my parents weren't taking me. My mother was a big horror fan when I was a kid, so they would drag me to the drive-in, put me to sleep in the back seat. But I do remember waking up multiple times during the movie, and I still have vivid memories of the baby like crawling around, attacking people in the maternity ward, or in the ER when it was born. There's certain scenes that really stuck with me from that first viewing. Not that it was really much of a viewing. Like I said, I woke up periodically. And then I've never seen the second one, believe it or not, but I have seen Island of the Alive, which is the third one. And holy shit, that is let's just say that's an interesting movie compared to the first one and what I've heard of the second one. So.
Yeah, for sure. Because, like, it's actually, there's a great documentary on all three movies on the Scream Factor. And yeah, originally that was supposed to be like a direct-to-video movie, so that's why it was like kind of cheaply than the other ones.
Right.
But he made that in Salem's Lot at the same time. The Return to
Wow.
Salem. Yeah, he made both of those movies at the same year. They both came out.
Is he good?
And yeah, crazy. Yeah, Larry Cohen just like, I love that documentary on him. It's fucking great just to hear stories about his movie making and like the guerrilla filmmaking and shit like that.
Nice.
Next.
All right, Don.
All right. So next up for me, I'm gonna kind of copy Derek here, and I'm gonna cheat a little by talking multiple films. Both of these were for a festival that I covered recently on my site, and it's a pretty interesting concept what goes on here. These are not available yet. They're still on the festival circuit, so don't ask me where they're available. These were just part of a bunch of films that I got for the festival. And they are called The Third Saturday in October. And there's two films. However, they're not what you think they are. It's not Third Saturday in October 1 and 2. It's actually Third Saturday in October Part 1 and Third Saturday in October Part 5.
Oh, they skip all their own sequels, I see.
Yeah, and there is a reason for that. And the whole thing is based on the director's attempt to capture the feeling that you got at a video store where you just wandered into the section and you picked up the wacky sequel because that was the only one that you had on the store before going back and seeing the original that was, a much more serious and much more earnest take on the material. So the idea is that you watched Part 5 first, and then you went back and you watched Part 1. So yeah, it's kind of a weird gimmick, and it's kind of little. Yeah, I'm gonna try to be a little brief on this, but essentially Part 5 is about this serial killer. We've met him throughout the course of the franchise, supposedly, and he's now targeting a group of teens holding a sleepover at their friend's house to watch the third Saturday in October, which is supposedly this big football game, which I don't know. And he begins killing them one by one. And then in Part 1, we meet the serial killer, who is this supposedly he's running through the town. He's the serial killer, like a Michael Myers type of figure, and he's put to death. He's in the electric chair, and he comes back to life and begins a rampage and begins killing people, even though nobody believes that he's come back to life because they saw him die in the electric chair.
Horse Thinker?
Supposedly, it's kind of similar. They give him a similar backstory, but instead of making him like fly through the air, they make him like a grounded supernatural killer. He's just they've killed him, but he's still come back to life.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that's the supposed backstory with the two. And there's also like I said, a couple you're supposed to find 5 first, and it's like this. Part 5 is supposedly set in 1994, whereas Part 1 is set in 1979. So, Part 4 looks like it's this slick teen, Scream-ass film. And Part 1 has this, like, grainy 70s filter on it, and everybody's, like, decked out in bell-bottom stuff. So, like I said, the whole concept is supposedly, like, replicating, like, the video store era where you would rent, like, the weird sequel in the franchise, and you didn't know what the original one was until later on when you went back and you found that one there, because everybody left the wacky sequel for you to find. Like you think like most franchises, like you see a sequel first instead of the first one, and then you go back and you see like the original one like a while later. That's kind of like how the concept behind them are. So they're really fun. They're actually really they're both really enjoyable. I do like part one a little bit more, just because it's a little bit more like a serious film. But I mean, they're both really enjoyable. They both have great gore. They're both really pretty bloody. They're standout 80s slasher throwbacks. Let's just say that. So I mean, if you're into that kind of stuff, you'll absolutely enjoy them. Like I said, part one is a little bit better, but I mean that's kind of expected because it's intended to be like the serious, straightforward film in the franchise, and then part five is just this wacky, over the top sequel that kind of just continues the legacy years on down the line. But yeah, when they come out, give them a watch. Based on the way that they were created, I would imagine that they would be bundled together. Either on physical media or when they drop on VOD, they're probably gonna like drop at the same time, just based on like the premise of how they were created and stuff. But if you can, like I said, if you can find them, give them a watch. They're still on the festival circuit because this is like the fourth or fifth. It's not like the first time I've had to watch them, but this is like the first time that they were at a festival that I've been able to cover that they were showing at. So they're probably going to be released either later in the year or maybe early next year. I don't know. I mean, I'm not friends with the filmmaker like Craving, but yeah, like I said, if you can find them, they're probably going to drop together. And like I said, the intention is to watch 5 first and then go back and see 1. But yeah, they're fun 80s throwbacks. So if you have a chance, go ahead and give them a shot.
I must have been a pretentious film douche my entire life, because even as a kid, I would never ever rent a sequel if I didn't see the original. I don't know why. It's just one of those things that I just never ever did. Like if I went to the video store and all they had was Hellraiser 2 and I never saw the first one, there's no way I'm renting it. So I guess I'm the exception to the rule.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean that was the idea behind it. I mean I've done that myself. I mean I think the only franchise I can think of where I saw the original first is Texas Chainsaw.
Oh yeah, it's common. I've heard lots of people telling stories about seeing sequels first. Blah, blah. I think Mike even told us a story about seeing Evil Dead 2 before he saw Evil Dead, if I remember correctly. So it's a common thing in the community. I understand that. Just I've never been into it ever. Like I literally remember being 10 years old and saying, nope, I don't want to see that till I see the first one.
Yeah, it was interesting because thinking that far back, I can't even remember if it was because they just didn't have Evil Dead or it was always rented. But yep, Salt Part 2 first. All right, so my next one's a new show on Prime. It's actually a remake of a Cronenberg movie, and that would be Dead Ringers. I haven't actually seen the movie in a long time, but I generally remember, Jeremy Irons played the twin surgeons. Kind of a psychological horror movie with some deranged stuff by the end of it, and I'm happy to say that I'm really liking the show. It's only 6 episodes. It's meant to be a limited series. I read that the creators have no intention on making more seasons, so I'm through 5 episodes. So I only have the final episode to go, but Rachel Weisz takes on the role of the twin surgeons this time, or gynecologists, and Rachel Weisz is great. Always have loved her, and she's great in this, playing both parts. Obviously, this is its own story. Like the basic setup is similar, but there's a lot going on. Obviously, the gender swap in the roles brought different possibilities and different scenarios. But I would say this is good psychological. I would almost say this one might lean towards more thriller than horror. But there is still some like horrific stuff in it. You can imagine being a gynecologist There's definitely some graphic scenes going on in certain episodes and scenarios, and it's plenty twisted. And that's all I want to say because it's still new. I think it just came out either, what are we at, the 28th today? So I think it actually debuted like last week maybe. So a lot of people probably haven't even seen it or even knew that it had started. But I highly recommend it. If you're a fan at all of the movie, I would say give this a shot. This is one of those rare occasions where it's kind of doing its own thing, keeps the spirit of the movie, but I think people will be happy with where it goes. So, Dead Ringers on Prime, check it out.
Yay!
All right, final roundup. Venom, what do you got?
All right, my last one for the week. Once again, I'm doing a non-horror film. Isn't that crazy? We only get to talk about 3, and 2 of mine this week are non-horror, but I feel like the non-horror movies that I'm talking about are still going to make most genre fans happy. I already talked about Nefarious. This next one I'm going to talk about actually opens today. It hits theaters today, Friday, April 28th. I was able to see a premiere screening of it last night. And holy shit, did I have such a good time. Because, my friends, what's more fun than watching Nazis get fucked up? And, of course, I'm talking about Sisu. I went to the premiere of Sisu last night. I'm sure a lot of you out there have seen the trailer. Some people are calling it the greatest trailer ever made. And I can say that, you know what, the movie delivers. The movie is 90 minutes and it gets right into the action. It doesn't take any time at all before our main character is attacked by this SS unit, while carrying his gold. So the synopsis is so easy. It's just Gold Farmer gets attacked by the SS. He fucks them all up. And that's your movie, folks. But you know what? Obviously, whether he lives or dies, I'm going to leave that up to the viewer to watch. I don't want to spoil this too much, but if you enjoy watching Nazis get fucking dismembered, blown up, stabbed through the head, just oh my God, just carnage galore, Sisu is the movie for you. Like I said, opened in theaters this week. I hope I'm pronouncing it right because they don't say the name in the movie. They show it in text, and it's a Finnish word. Even though this is a Finnish film, it's in English. The whole movie's in English until the very end, when our titular character actually says a line in Finnish. But otherwise, it's about 99% English. So, don't get too scared that it's all, the foreign names in the cast and crew. But yeah, I'm not sure if any of you guys had a chance to see it yet, but I feel like everyone here would like it. Who doesn't like watching Nazis get blown up? I keep saying zombies. I just watched Dead Snow, so I got Nazi.
I was like, I like that too.
Yeah.
You
didn't get a chance to see it yet, Mike, right? I know Mike said he was going to see it.
Yeah, it's actually it's a good timing to release because there's not a whole bunch of new horror at the theater. So I have fresh cuts. That means we'll be doing VOD, so I can use my my allotted time to get to the theater to see this. And yeah, I've probably seen the trailer the past 3 times I've been to the theater, and every time I'm like, I can't wait. And I was just hoping that it wouldn't be so limited that it wouldn't come here, but nope, it's we're getting showtimes for it, so I am definitely seeing it this weekend.
Yeah, like I said, it's literally exactly 90 minutes. It doesn't even feel like 90 minutes. It feels like an hour. You're having so much fun watching this guy just destroy these Nazis that it's a quick one. So yeah, I highly recommend it. If you liked if you liked Inglourious Bastards, there's no reason you wouldn't like this one.
Hell yeah! Next. I knew that was coming
that's
next.
Derek, right?
Yeah, it's me, yo. Yeah, so in my other journeys of when I was sick, I picked up a Blu-ray recently from Severn Films, who's releasing a lot of good shit lately. Fuck yeah. Yeah, I watched one of my actually movies that I loved watching a few years ago when I first saw it on DVD, and that's Zombie 3 by Lucio Fulci, or maybe Bruno Mattei is also attached to this. he directed like a lot of the background stuff with like the scientists and the military after Fulci left the production just to make the movie better. But finisher, because it was only like I guess 54 minutes long by the time he left the production. So they needed a few minutes to make it like the hour and a half it is. So yeah, it's freaking like a weird Italian ripoff of Return of the Living Dead with Fulci gore and atmosphere and flying heads and the suits from Rat's Night of Terror come back as the military. But you know what's great about this movie is the fucking soundtrack, which is because I had the 88 films Blu-ray of this, but I only picked this up because it comes with the CD soundtrack, so I can listen to the fucking music. The main theme for this movie fucking bangs. It's fucking great, and I just love the artwork for this movie. It's like a giant fist with zombie eyes and a girl screaming. It's fucking rad. This is a great movie in its own right, of being one of the cheesiest movies ever made. But I love it.
I've never actually seen the third one. I think I'm going to check it out.
It's actually Zombie 2.
That's what I was about to ask. Is it Zombie 2 or Zombie 3?
So the idea is Dawn of the Dead is Zombie 1.
Right.
Then Fulci Zombie is Zombie 2, and then this is Zombie 3.
Okay.
But you have to be careful of the UK because the UK has Burial Ground as Zombie 3.
What? Terrible.
Yeah, the UK. Yeah, in the UK they shoehorn Burial Ground in as the third one, even though the UK doesn't acknowledge Dawn of the Dead being Zombie 1. Because they have Zombie as they do Zombie 2 as Zombie Flesh Eaters.
Yeah.
Then I think it's
Zombie Flesh Eaters 2 for Zombie 3.
Yeah, that because Zombie 3 is Zombie Flesh Eaters 2, and then Burial Ground is Zombie Flesh Eaters 3.
Then you got Zombie 4 After Death.
Right, Zombie 4 is Zombie 4, and then 5 is
Killing Birds.
Yeah.
Right, Killing Birds. Yeah, I think that. Yeah, 4 and 5 are still the same. Yeah, 4 and 5 are still the same. So they kind of switched they switched the first 3 out. But yeah, the 4 and 5 are still the same. And then I think a few other territories do Black Demons as Zombie 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's the UK, but I think there's a few other territories that do Black Demons as Zombie 6, and then there's a few others that do Cemetery Man as Zombie 6.
What? No!
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes, and then
Cemetery Man is Zombie 6 and is a few territories.
And then Andre Schnoz fucking saw this he jokingly because there's so many fucking different zombies ones too. He's like, I'm just gonna make Zombie 90.
Yeah.
Is this all because of like rights issues or just advertising? Right. Like they think if they give it that alternate title or what?
No, the countries used a different title for the first movie when it.
Because Dawn of the Dead was released as
Zombie.
I mean, I know why Zombie 2 is Zombie 2. I'm just saying now that we're up to like 4, 5, 6, like what the hell's going on?
They only named it Zombie 2 because Dawn of the Dead was called Zombie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That
one I've always known.
Franchise.
It's the fact that they're still doing it is where I'm like, okay, is it still connective tissue or is it just they're still trying to ride the coattails?
Oh, it's not even talking about the La Casa movies.
Yeah, because that's Evil Dead actually.
Yeah, Evil Dead, Ghost House, fucking Witcher.
Yeah, because it's Evil Dead 1 and 2, and then 3 is Ghost House, 4 is Witchery.
I think House is one of them too. Like,
no.
Maybe. It would be. It seems like it should be.
House is its
I don't know.
Nightmare. That
Houseu or whatever.
No, House, the 86 one, the one with
William Catt.
William Catt, yeah.
The one that we just did on the last episode.
Yeah.
That could be actually. I don't remember because I know Ghost House is 3 and Witchery is 4. I'm trying to think what's 5.
Oh,
Maybe that is House.
well, there's a whole list of them that we could look up later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's Demons, which
Yeah.
Demons is the third big one that's kind of like, what the fuck?
Where there's like 5 demon 3s.
Too many rabbit holes.
The 6 demon bag.
No, it just depends because it's Demons 1 and 2, the Lamberto Bava ones. Then they take the TV film The Ogre and they call that Demons 3.
No demons in it whatsoever.
Yeah, and then they forget that the Church was originally commissioned as the third Demons film. That was the original story behind its conception.
It feels like a demons movie.
Well, it was.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is that the Church is supposedly Demons 3, and then Suave came in and changed it. And he took the references out, but it still kind of kept a lot of the same structural integrity. And then the Sect is supposedly Demons 3 in several places. So those 3 films are kind of, intermingled. And then Bava comes back and directs a remake of Black Sunday as Demons 5. Yeah, Black Sunday is Demons 5, and then Luigi Kaze does the third Mother's film and calls that Demon 6 De Profundis.
I fucking love that movie, by the way. We're gonna do that sometime. But let's continue. Mike, next.
I already forgot most of what Don said.
Don. It's John's turn next. Yeah, my bad, Don. What movie did you watch last?
Okay, so this one I'll keep kind of brief because it's actually part of the project I was mentioning earlier, and I can't really reveal too much about it. The project I'm doing is for a guest appearance on a friend's podcast called DVD Infatuation, and basically the gist of it is that me and the guy are on the show are gonna each just pick 6 random movies we haven't seen, and we're just gonna talk about them. So the one I'm gonna pick, one of the ones I'm gonna pick is a film I haven't seen before. It's a film called Trauma, but it's not the one you're thinking of. It's a 1978 giallo by Leon Klimovsky. He directed a bunch of Paul Naschy films earlier in his career, so if you're familiar with that,
yeah, it's also known as Rings of Power, right?
No, that's a different film.
Rings
that's
of Fear, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not the one. This is a different one. That's actually the third in Massimo Dallamano's Schoolgirls and Tragedy series. Mm-hmm. So this is a different one. Like I said, I'm not going to go long on this one, but basically, a writer goes to this remote cottage out in the wilderness to get inspiration for his new book. Starts a romance with the woman that runs the place, and then a series of murders start striking the various guests. So. Not very original, kind of feels like a slasher, but it's giallo kind of 101, hits the trademarks and sleaze, nudity, graphic killings, cheesy gore. A fun little mystery for what it is, but it's kind of obvious to tell what's going on. But it's still really enjoyable. I'm gonna keep my thoughts on this one for now until the show, but that's going to be one of 6 films I'm going to talk about on that particular podcast. So yeah, I want to keep this one a little close to the vest just because it's some of the stuff that I've been watching for the show. So
nice. Michael.
Sweet. All right, so for my last one for what we watched, people might think that I watched just a prep for summer series because I did get assigned for 1964, but actually I threw this one on because they announced the sequel to what the hell is it? I Am Legend, and I was like, I've heard there's better versions of the book out there, and I haven't seen them. So let me throw on the Vincent Price Last Man on Earth, and it just happened to be 64. So it was like incidental prep, and I really liked it. I haven't seen a ton of movies where Vincent Price kind of plays more of a straight character. Like obviously he's Vincent Price, so he's still going to the voice is there, the presence is there, but he's not playing like an overly quirky character, just a straight guy, not sexuality straight, but you know what I'm saying. If you're familiar with the story at all, I mean, I don't need to run through it. Last guy on Earth trying to come up with a cure for a plague that took out humanity, and we kind of run through it. But yeah, and it's funny because there's actually like a colorized version of this, but I saw the black and white, and yeah, I see Omega Man because that's the other one. I think those are the 3 adaptions, unless there's even more. But
there's more, yeah.
This is definitely better than I Am Legend, and I know, like, getting modern audiences to appreciate some of these classics might be a little tough. But I think as far as the story, the acting, it's very compact. It's not even that long, but once it gets going, you're almost to the end of it before you. Maybe the fact that I'm so used to like these longer movies that tell these basic stories, but this one got into it, and I really no cheap cop out ending with this. It ended the way the story is, and yeah, I had a great time with it. I'm assuming at least some of you guys have seen this, yeah.
Hell yeah, Venom talked about it on the show, man.
Yeah, I've checked out Price's entire catalog, so.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Easily the best interpretation. Definitely.
Yeah. Have you guys seen Omega Man too?
Oh,
of course.
It's been years.
I love Omega Man too, though, for different reasons. Like it feels like a movie of the '70s, and
I seen it once. I'm just more familiar with the Simpsons parody of it.
Yeah.
That's my problem with that is that I'm more familiar with the Simpsons parody.
I just want to be like Charlton Heston taking that black woman and making out with her. I'm like, yeah, that's me right now.
Yeah, Omega Man's still a really good movie, but Last Man on Earth is by far the superior adaptation.
Yeah, I think I read like that said like the story's still solid, but they really kind of amp up the flamboyance of like the vampire creatures or whatever, so it can come off as a little more corny, whereas Man on Earth plays a pretty straight horror sci-fi, but has a good horror to it.
Yeah, because they gave him like a leader that talked in the Omega Man, and it was Anthony Zerbe. But yeah, I wasn't complaining because it was fucking Anthony Zerbe. How could you fucking complain about that? But yeah, I see what they did with that, and they made more like cultish victimizing disease, where this one is just straight vampires.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I think that wraps up what we've been watching. Is there anything else anyone wants to mention before we move on?
Oh, God, no.
All right.
This is the way. R.I.P. Paz.
What do we have as far as news? Do we have anything as far as news?
A film that we just reviewed last week as part of the big week of horror movies in the theaters is actually getting a sequel. Yes, The Pope's Exorcist, believe it or not, his sequel was announced just yesterday, I believe. The plan is Russell Crowe and Daniel Zavato will both be back reprising their roles as Father
and Pope Django?
It didn't mention Pope Django, actually. It only mentioned the 2 stars in the thing that I saw. So, I mean, we can assume. I mean, it's the Pope's Exorcist, so you got to have the Pope. Pope Django. So I thought that was pretty interesting because it's a movie that all of us we all enjoyed it to certain degrees, but we all kind of agreed that it was just kind of tropey and derivative. If you've seen an exorcism film, you've seen the Pope's Exorcist. It's not a bad film by any stretch. I mean, if you listen to our episode of Fresh Cuts, you know that, like I said, we all mostly enjoyed it. The ending gets a little, I have issues with the ending, but, the story in and of itself is fine, but it's all about Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe's performance is awesome. So for whatever it's worth, I will sit through a second of these movies. Russell Crowe's
if he does that accent. Yeah.
Oh, if he does that crazy Italian accent, I'm in all day.
You did that in Thor too. It was fucking amazing.
So I thought that was kind of cool. And then this is kind of genre news. It's kind of involving the MCU, but If fans of the show True Detective, which I am a huge fan of all 3 seasons of True Detective, obviously varying degrees of quality between the 3, but I still enjoyed all of them.
Season 4 coming soon.
Season 4 coming soon, but the creator of the show, Nick Pizzolatto, is actually been slated to write the Blade movie for the MCU. And, Blade is a vampire, so I figured it's horror adjacent enough to bring up here. But yeah, Blade will be played by Mahershala Ali, who also was in True Detective Season 3, a beautiful comeback for that series. Season 3 was spectacular. Not that Season 2 was bad, but Season 2 was probably the weakest of the 3. And it's not Vince Vaughn's fault at all, before anybody starts blaming him. But I just thought it was pretty cool that we're going to get a True Detective reunion in the new Blade movie. A couple of weeks ago, we got the news that Mia Goth is also slated to be in that movie, so that kind of brought me down a little bit. But I know you horror, some of you horror fans out there absolutely love Mia. So, congrats to you, but hopefully she doesn't ruin the Blade movie for me, because I love Blade. I love the comic book. I did like the original trilogy, even if Blade 3 kind of sucked ass. But Blade 2 was spectacular, directed by Guillermo del Toro, of course. So that's kind of exciting news, to see people that are responsible for a great show like True Detective will now be heading up the production of Blade. So fingers crossed that we get a good MCU horror film finally.
Blade 3 had Triple H, though. That was fucking awesome.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
Oh God, and Ryan Reynolds is like the 4th hero the 4th comic book hero that he's fucking making. Ryan Reynolds has got to stop playing comic book heroes, all right? That's it. You're Deadpool.
Besides Deadpool, yeah.
Yes, you're Deadpool, that's it. For fuck's sake. How can one man play so many goddamn different superheroes? It's so upsetting.
And he was Free Guy.
And Free Guy, which I actually love that film for whatever it's worth, but that, for different reasons, not necessarily for Mr. Reynolds, but anyway, that's all the news I had, Mike. Just those 2 items.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that game, Vampire Survivors. Sounds like they're trying to develop it into a TV series, which is, I wonder if like the success of Castlevania kind of helped that too. Although this doesn't say that it's being developed for Netflix specifically, but I would assume it's going to be a similar game. Vampire Survivors is kind of like the over-the-top arcade TV style movie, just with settings where you're taking on tons of enemies while you're powering up and getting different weapons and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so I think that's about all I had. Unless you want to talk more Blumhouse Exorcist remake, which I don't think you do. So.
Fuck that movie to hell. Just I have to watch it. The law the law of horror says that I have to watch it. I'm not looking forward to it, especially because it's got douchebag Gordon Green.
Gordon Green.
God, he ruined Halloween. Now he's trying to ruin my fucking favorite movie ever. So, goddamn.
Yeah, and he never gave us a sequel to Your Highness. God damn you.
His only good movie.
It was the fucking little Yoda that raped him.
Yeah, fuck yeah, the stoner Yoda. Hell yeah. But yeah, that's it from me, Mike, for news.
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to bring up is I found it curious that Waxwork teased early. Waxwork is a record company for the listeners. I didn't want to. Waxwork Records did like a post on their like Facebook page that said Rob Zombie presents, and they're like, "What the fuck is this bullshit? More repackaging of the fucking Devil's Reject soundtrack?" No, it's actually kind of cool news because it's pretty much it's a new line that they're doing where Rob Zombie is actually curating the movie soundtracks that are going to be released through Waxwork Records. And the first one is White Zombie, the Bela Lugosi movie, its soundtrack, which I found really cool. I like Waxwork because they do they put up some crazy shit, like fucking, they put out the Shockwave soundtrack, which I listen to all the time, smoking weed to. It's fucking great. But Yeah, and it's just I'm just curious what record 2 would be. Because I know Rob Zombie likes a lot of those old horror movies, so this is something that he did that's good. Yeah, I'll put it out there.
If that's gonna get us to the news, I don't really have a question for this episode, except, are you guys ready to talk some Shaw Brothers movies?
Oh yeah, I can't wait to talk about the first one because
I got questions, man. I got major questions.
All right, well then we'll take a short break and come back to talk 2 Shaw Brothers horror movies.
Yum, yum. It's time for a tasty and refreshing snack. Promise to satisfy your hunger, your thirst, your sweet tooth. So visit our refreshment center now. Let's go! And now, on with the show.
We're talking Shaw Brothers horror, and I'm just going to go in chronological order. Haunted Tales first. So this is one of the rare 2-story anthology. So
okay, so before we go any further, I do want to bring something up before this goes on. So this is not actually intended to be a traditional anthology the way people expect, like a Creepshow or Black Sabbath or Creepshow, like that kind of stuff. So what happened here is this is 2 unfinished and basically shelved projects from 2 separate directors. So the first film, if memory serves, and I don't know why I don't have why my notes are open, but the first was started in 1975, and it was basically like 70% completed before it was stopped and shelved, and then several years later, it was picked back up, and there was an attempt at trying to finish the project, but even that fell through. And what we get here in the first tale is the amalgamation of those two attempts, basically. That's the first tale. And then the second one was a project that was started, but it had its funding halved during the production phase itself. And the decision was made because of the budget was slashed in half to essentially make it a short anyway, and that was basically the result, is that it was rewritten basically on the fly and turned into a fully functioning short, basically because the budget was cut. So the film is basically, as Derek's actually told us many times in chat, though we're gonna say it for the first time on air. It's a collection of unfinished and finished and shelved projects that were in their vaults and were released as a means of recouping their funds.
Sounds
Come
like
on and dance with me, dance with me. Come on and dance with me, dance with me.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds a lot like that movie. Do you guys remember that movie We Are Wolves that we reviewed on Fresh Cuts? It was the exact same thing. It was like an anthology of like different directors' things that they couldn't find a release for.
Yeah, but that one. Yeah, but I think the difference here is that these were not intended to be formed into a cohesive narrative. Those were shorts film. Those were the film we were thinking of. We Are Wolves was short films with a wraparound to make everything make sense. These were just okay. Let's just. Sense in quotation marks. But these were, these are just presented as tales, and then just there is no wraparound. So it's not like there's attempts to try to make it like a Quiet On or Black Sabbath or anything like that. They're just we're just going to release these 2 films on one bill, and we'll recoup the money that we've spent trying to film them.
Mm-hmm.
So it falls more in line with the Terror Train method of doing an anthology rather than like what we were saying earlier, like a Creep Show or a Black Sabbath or something where the film was intended from the very beginning to be an anthology. It's just these were unreleased and unfinished projects that were cobbled together and distributed just as a means of recouping their budget back.
Yep, got it.
Yeah, jarring and janky. I mean, we'll talk about that later for sure. But yeah, that's kind of the reason why, is that they were actually separately, produced, and they were actually, brought up in several different time periods, but they were put together and released as one project just as a means of getting the budget back, just because they were languishing in their vaults, and why not? I guess was their mentality.
Yeah, makes sense. I guess, yeah, since there's only stories to work with, we can go with the first one. As a crash leaves a man dead and his wife badly injured, he returns as a ghost to try to take her with him.
Sounds
Didn't they just reveal that's the worst fucking synopsis ever? They just told us the whole fucking story. God, IMDb, do fucking better with your synopses. Really, I mean, do fucking better. Jesus. Thank God I didn't read that. I would be so fucking pissed off if I read that first and then watched because the whole thing would have been ruined. Ah, God damn it.
Get off my lawn. You should just put that whenever fucking Venom just randomly rants about something.
Hey, I don't care. Fuck it. Get off my horror lawn. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, get that sound bit in there, Mike. Clint Eastwood, get off my lawn. Oh. Yeah, this movie.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Rant's
Other
over.
than the spoiler synopsis, what did you think of the thing?
I actually had a really good time with this. I actually enjoyed the first movie we're going to talk about today more than the second one. I found both stories kind of charming in their own way. The first one I've pretty much called the Asian Carnival of Souls. It just felt had kind of the same formula, the same kind of reveal, everything else. And I love Carnival of Souls, so I'm okay with that. It's definitely not bad mouthing it. And then, the second story just has one of the greatest guilty pleasure kills ever. I fucking loved it. It's a quickie, but yeah, if we're talking only about the first story right now, I really liked it. I liked the mystery of it. Like I said, since I didn't read the synopsis like an idiot, I was actually able to, because obviously this was a first time watch for me, for both of these films. And I actually had a really good time with this one. Both stories I really enjoyed.
What about you, Derek?
It was a journey with this movie with me. But, at the end of the day, I didn't hate it. I'm just going to say that. But, it was just the way that the presentation of it was fucking killing me, because it was like in this little tiny rectangle on my screen. And it was terrible. Yep. In that aspect where you're trying to read. Well, I was glad the subtitles were underneath. So I'm like, is this how it played in fucking theaters? Because I would fucking leave if it was. But the presentation of it kind of hurt the viewing of it for me in that sense, where I'm like, trying to look for shit. But I did like the first story a lot. It has some cool imagery in it and shit, like when the lady's just going down out of the house, and she goes into another house, and then everyone just turns into mannequins. And then when she leaves again, they all start moving again. I'm like, what the fuck? Because I watched this movie Stone today, and I'm like, yeah, this is the way to watch this movie. I found it finally. It has some cool color imagery, kind of Argento-y and Bavary in that sense, where it's all colorful, especially during that climax of it, where we'll find out the big reveal. Yeah, Carnival of Souls, anyone? But yeah, I enjoyed that story for what it was. During my other part of the journey, it's like because I fell asleep near like the end of the first story because I didn't realize it was an anthology until today. And I'm like, what the fuck? Am I watching another movie? Like, what the fuck?
I can see
But
how
anyways,
that might happen if you didn't realize.
yeah. But yeah, after I did like the full rewatch today, like because I watched it fucking just chilled and watched it, I was like, okay, this movie I'm okay with. Maybe the presentation. If I was sitting this on my big TV with fucking HD version, it would have been fucking amazing. But anyways, I gave it what it was. I dug it. And then after I found out the backstory of it, after I looked it up, finally too, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
I was the same as you, Derek. I got about, I don't know, 5 to 6 minutes into the YouTube link that was shared around the chat, and I just couldn't take it anymore. I ended up renting it on Prime. I spent the $3.99, but I got a nice DVD quality cut, so that was pretty cool.
Oh, hey, next time I should do that. We did that for Repulsion, I think, too.
Yeah. Hey, I don't mind supporting the community. Ultimately, I'll pay some money to rent a movie every now and again.
I just rented that fucking Craven movie that Dawn talked about, so I'm gonna watch that later.
Nice.
Is this a first time watch for you?
No, I've heard of it. Well, I should say yes. This was the first time watch, although I had heard of it. I knew it was an anthology going in. I didn't know the backstory behind it, but I did know that it was an anthology, and I really like the first one. I actually kind of prefer the second one, to be honest. It's just a little personal preference thing, but yeah, I do like the first one. The imagery is fantastic. I like the mystery, the psychological buildup that builds with her growing mistrust over the neighbors, and the weird activity they do and the weird sight she sees, and like the haunted house kind of everything. I do think the twist is kind of obvious once you start seeing the Carnival of Souls references that they start dropping. It kind of makes what goes on a little obvious, and it's not as grand a reveal as it thinks it is, especially because, like you said, the Carnival of Souls influence on this one is just pretty outright obvious in some places. But yeah, if you're okay with that, there's some fun to be had here. I would have been interested how they would have stretched it out to a feature length without making it seem like they were just doing a Chinese version of Carnival of Souls to begin with. Because yeah, like I said, Rob, remember that both of these were originally commissioned as feature length films, so I'm kind of curious as to how the full length one would have emerged. Also, how both shooting things were which film shoot was responsible for which part of the film, because they don't really feel like completely jarring discrepancies, because they don't have the same director for each segment. If I remember right, I think the original segment was done by Ewan, and the second one was done by Mengo Wa.
Oh.
So yeah, Ewan Kwar is basically best known as Mr. Koo from Jackie Chan's Police Story, because he's also an actor. So yeah, Ewan Kwar is the guy that played Mr. Koo in Jackie Chan's Police Story, and Mengo Wa is the guy that did oh god, why is the name escaping me? Mighty Peking Man.
Speaking of sleazy.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, those are the two directors that were responsible for the footage in here. So I'm kind of curious as to who did what, because it doesn't really feel like there's two separate directors all over, and both of these guys have very obvious fingerprints if you know what their backstories are. So kind of knowing who did
that
what.
makes more sense now that I know that he directed Mighty Pecan Man.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But yeah, overall, it's it's got its moments. I can't say it's the most original anthology segment, but yeah, overall, I do like it. I do prefer the second one, but overall, yeah, this is like I said, for a first time watch, and I knew it was an anthology going in, but yeah, I really liked it. I like I said, prefer the second one, but yeah, the first one's got its moments. So yeah, it's definitely worthwhile, and it is the longer of the two because this one is 15 minutes, and I think the other one just clocks in under half an hour. So yeah, even though it's a little bit longer, it's still really fun, and it's definitely enjoyable for what it is.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, I agree. And on to the second one. A caretaker wins the lottery thanks to saucer spirit, the good old saucer spirit. Things go wrong when he breaks his promise to it. So this is kind of like a classic, almost like a be careful what you wish for. Hey, you're gonna something good happen to you, but there's
Twilight
a curse and a twist to it.
That's the this is straight Tales from the Crypt kind of a thing. This is
yep.
I mean, I'm kind of jumping the gun here. For me, this is classic, straight up Tales from the Crypt kind of a story, and I absolutely loved it for that. I like I said, I do prefer this one just because it feels very much like it's a Tales from the Crypt, Vault of Horror, Torture Garden kind of morality tale. Like this is you plop this in one of those kinds of stories, change the actors over, but you make it the same kind of a story. It fits right in with those kinds of things.
I think I prefer it better now.
To your point, Don, this feels like it belongs in an anthology, like this type of story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I said, it's very, very, very hands-on morality tale kind of a thing. The guy presses his luck, does something stupid, and the spirits come back to exact the revenge exactly the same way that he took them out, because like I said, the way that they kill him is exactly the way that he broke the rules of the original agreement. When he finally starts in with the Ouija board, he starts moving the dice around with his hands, and that's exactly how they end up killing him. I mean, I'm not going to spoil it, but that's they take him out the exact same way that he broke the engagement. So yeah, it's straight up morality tale kind of a thing. And yeah,
that was a cool kills.
Yeah, the kill thing itself is kind of cheesy, but it works for what it is. And yeah, the effect of the dub for nobody's gonna get that until you see it. But yeah, the whole thing is just really fun, and yeah, I really like this one a lot.
And the movie just ends. It's like the end.
Ask, I know people like money, and women probably like. But I swear in this movie, women were taking off their clothes just at the sight of money.
Yeah,
that's why I like this movie.
I gotta start making more money.
No, you don't.
Venom, what'd you think of this one?
I fucking love this story for multiple reasons. Our main antagonist, protagonist, whatever you want to call him, the guy that we follow in this story actually mentions the fox god. I'm familiar with the fox god from Baby Metal. The band Baby Metal from Japan has multiple songs about the fox god in there. So when he mentions it, I'm like, oh, cool, something I'm kind of familiar with. And when he started kind of going through the events of him breaking the promise that he made, instantly I'm like, okay, this guy's getting fucked up. And when we got our final kill, that was just glorious. I fucking loved it. I don't care if the effects maybe don't hold up. I thought that was one of the coolest fucking kills. And it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy, too. I mean, this guy's an absolute scumbag throughout this entire movie. Just because he has a little bit of money, he suddenly treats women like shit. I mean, degrading them, forcing them to do stupid shit. Like, the one girl that he has try to pick up money with her tits. This guy's just an absolute. And then the kicker of it all is that he actually gets into a fucking a gambling bet with a man for his daughter who looks like she's about fucking 13. I'm not sure. I can only assume that this girl is of age, but she looked to me like she was about 13 or 14, and he's literally betting with her father, which, by the way, makes her father just as big a piece of shit as him for that. He's basically potentially giving up his daughter's, virginity, if she still has it, to this fucking idiot over a bet. It just, almost everybody in this segment is a piece of garbage. And the ending just left me with a gigantic smile on my face. I absolutely love that kill. Especially because of the way that he was using the spirit board incorrectly and then breaking his promise. It just worked for me. So this segment was spectacular.
Yeah, and it was like, it wasn't enough for him that women were just happy that he had to treat them like shit too. And I was just like, God damn, like I knew, you figure, just because of the nature of us being like a horror anthology story, that he's gonna get his comeuppance and bored and ready, and when it happens, it's just like you're kind of basking in it, like, hell yeah, like that's exactly what you deserve, asshole.
Hell yeah. Plus it's fucking super sleazy. That whole elevator scene, I'm like, what the fuck? This
whole segment is sleazy as shit, especially because, when you watch the first segment, and I understand they weren't meant to be in the same movie, blah, 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 but it's such a jarring tonal shift to go from this very quiet, subdued family story with the first segment, and then just an absolute sleazeball who's mistreating women of all ages. It's definitely a tonal shift.
Well, we're definitely doing fucking Mighty Pecan Man on fucking Creature Comforts.
I'm down. I've only seen it once, but I had a blast.
No, I like this segment more now that I know that a guy directed it, because it makes more sense.
That he directed the first one, not this one. The two co-directors of the first one were Yuen Kwar and Ho Meng-hwa. The guy behind this one is Mao Tun-fei, but I don't know too much about him.
So he's a great director.
Yeah, the first director, the first segment was started in 1975 by Yuen Kwar, but he only got about 70%, according to most stories, and I don't know how much I trust them, but according to most sources, he got 70% of the way through that film, but through the allotted schedule, but they ended up shelving the project. And then several years later, they picked it back up again with Ho Meng-hwa directing it. But then even that project, even that shooting, that got shelved. So I don't know who did what, because the first segment is combining the two shooting. That's what the first section is. The first story is. It's combining those two together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is the second segment is a separate one altogether.
Okay. But I liked it.
Yeah. I know what you're getting at, because the guy behind Mighty Peking Man is gonna raise some eyebrows and kind of add some touches to the film. But yeah, he helmed the second session for the first segment.
Nice. Yeah, super sleazy. I enjoyed it for those reasons.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I guess we'll move on to our next movie, going all 2 years later, Curse of Evil. Let's see. Family members are murdered and then dumped in a well. Years later, their descendants are first. Pretty straightforward there.
Little better.
Yeah.
Not as spoilery.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one has a little bit of everything. Tone in it is kind of mixed. I mean, maybe there's some unintentional of like being lost in translation. We have creatures,
tentacles.
We have more nudity, tentacles,
face huggers,
bodies, skeletons, and I think a wrap up. I wouldn't say twist, but wrap up reveal of like why things are happening. It kind of brings it back together, because there was like a point in this where I kind of was like, like where the hell I get that? at the end. So I'll start with Derek on this one. What do you think of Curse of Evil?
It's a movie. It's very weird, man.
It is.
Yeah, but it's kind of goofy, and it's not perfect, but I love this director's movies, and he did like The Boxer's Omen and fucking The Killer Snakes and Killer Constable, fucking we can name a bunch of them, but Corpse Mania, he mixes it up and fucking does different shit, and you're like, it's crazy. Like the same guy who did Killer Snakes did Boxer's Omen, but it's like he mixed like one movie. There's one movie that he did fucking, and then there's another movie that he did, and it feels like this movie is a combination of those two movies, if that makes sense. Because it feels like like a straight haunted house movie, but then you got fucking ghoulies in there. You got little dinosaurs, fucking pink raptors, pink Yoshis, I called.
Yeah, I did find that the interesting sound effects for the little.
Yeah, they sound like
Godzilla.
But yeah, it's not perfect. I'm not gonna say it's a fucking good movie, but I had fun watching it. I can't lie.
Yeah, I would say like one of the issues like I think is fair is like it feels like the first half of the movie, like one or setup, maybe you could call it a prologue. It feels family drama dialogue kind of setting things up that maybe isn't necessary. And it's not even really like a long movie, but it still feels like that opening part is like pretty long. But I feel like once we start getting the creatures and all the curse stuff, there's like good stuff in the movie. It's just spend a while getting there. So yeah, definitely kind of a mixed bag there. But Venom, what did you?
This was really, really weird. Overall, I enjoyed myself. I'm like Derek. I'm not gonna call this a good movie. There are elements of it that are very enjoyable. The Dragon King is cool. Some of the deaths in the movie are cool. There's a fucking guy in this movie that hypnotizes a woman and then rapes her and gets away with it, which just freaks me the fuck out. Like the Asian culture is so different that literally the woman accused the guy of hypnotizing her and raping her, and then he doesn't even deny it. He's like, yeah, so.
It's like that random scene in Evil Dead trap where the bald guy's raping the girl.
That's right. Yes. Oh my god. So yeah, the movie is, I mean, quirky is probably one of the nicest words that you can call the movie. It's definitely out there, and once we get to the reveal or one of the reveals, I end up getting really confused because they kind of give us a reveal that someone not supernatural was behind all of this. But there's still supernatural things happening that can't be explained by that reveal, which is kind of what freaks me out a little bit. I'm kind of weirded out with the movie. It's almost like it's a what do you call it? It's one of those ones where they give you a reveal that that somebody was fucking with this family, but then the secondary reveal is that, oh no, there actually is something going on here, and it's not all just some guy fucking with this family, blah blah blah. So yeah, it's a weird one. It definitely left me scratching my head, though. I gotta, anytime you can watch a mutant dragon raping a beautiful Asian woman, I'm not gonna complain. But yeah, this was a weird one altogether. Not sure if this is one that I would ever watch again, but it's still, worth checking out at the very least for all the beautiful naked Asian women.
You're gonna watch the Stone Man. Is the best way to watch these.
Yeah, I probably should have. I tend not to when I'm watching movies to be reviewed, but yeah, I think it probably would have heightened my enjoyment a little bit more, definitely. But overall, not a terrible movie, just really, really weird and really, really head scratching.
Yeah, it's like these two movies that we talk, I feel like these were attempts to make like, hey, let's make Hausu.
They failed miserably if that was their intention, that's for sure.
Oh, that's great.
All right, Don, did you scratch your head over this one?
For a different reason than Venom did. To me, it's kind of hard to keep track of who's who in the film, just because everybody insists on calling each other like second cousin or mistress or.
Yeah, that was fucking weird.
It was kind of hard, especially because there's like 8 or 9 different people in the house, and the backstory is that
You're saying they all look alike, Don?
No, I'm saying there's like 8 or 9 people in the house, and there's like 3 or 4 different families that they come in just because of the curse.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the first one, the son dies, and then I think it's the father that moves in with his wife, and then he brings the mistress in, and then there's kids involved, but then they're from this other part of the family that died because of the curse, so they were being looked after by the family from the first incident that took the parents out of these kids ended up causing them to become part of the responsibility of the parents, but then they're the same age as everybody else in the house. So yeah, everybody just keeps calling each other like second cousin or something like that, and it's kind of like, who's actually who, and you're like, you start calling each other by your names, damn it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to me, that's the more confusing part, rather than the supernatural shenanigans here, which I do admit that they are there, but it's just so hard to care because the supernatural shenanigans are so much fun. I mean, the goopy, tentacle creature raping women, that's just always fun. The haunted house shenanigans in the first half are, handled real well, like all the accidents that happen. It's like this one girl gets set on fire and nobody really thinks about, just dump water on her.
I wanted to mention, but the scene that really got me was, and it's hard for me to, like, when the fucking thing just came out of the fucking little pond thing, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, it's like, the one girl gets set on fire and everybody's like, oh, just dump water on her. No, like, they don't even think of like checking for wounds or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot going on, and most of it's fun. Some of it's kind of head scratching, but this is one of my favorites from this guy. I mean, like Mike said, it's the same guy that did Boxer's Omen. He also did Bewitched and Bamboo House of Dolls, and I haven't seen Killer Snakes yet, but yeah, I'm definitely on board to check. Yeah, I'm definitely on board to see it, just because I know that this guy's work is so much fun. But yeah, I mean, Corpse Mania is a great giallo, mixed in with just the right amount of necrophilia. I'm not joking. That's actually a subtitle of the film.
Oh, I believe it. I'm just no. It's the right amount of necrophilia that I was laughing at. Like, not too much, but not lacking in necrophilia either.
Well, it's not necromantic. It's not necromantic amounts of necrophilia, right. But yeah, it's like it's like gross out forms, but it's like it's kinky.
More like a Visitor Q necrophilia.
Yeah, kind of. Exactly. Yeah, that's a.
I didn't drink milk for a week.
I drank nothing but milk for a week.
That and Gozu.
Oh my god. Sorry, tangent.
No worries. But yeah, Curse of Evil is a lot of fun. It's not my favorite, but it's definitely enjoyable for what it is. The tentacle creature looks amazing. The reveal is just like Scooby-Doo levels of awesome.
I love that how it just looks like it's been thrown onto the lady. That was fucking scary.
Yeah, and oh my god, those murder frogs are just so cute. I want one. I want one in my backyard, just protecting my house.
I want them to fight the door rats.
Yeah, but yeah,
raise it as a pet.
Yeah, yeah. Wacky early '80s Hong Kong, supernatural, wacky shenanigan type of films. if you've seen, like Black Magic or, Boxer's Omen and stuff, stuff like that, and you want to, check something else out, this is definitely right in line with those. This one and Devil Fetus are a great double bill, actually. Those are two good movies that kind of go together, kind of, now that I think about it. But
or even
yeah.
like Season of the Ghost. Season of the Ghost would be a good double feature with this one.
Yeah, well, that's more Black Magic themed. That was more like, creature feature.
Yeah, but it ends with a ghoulie. Spoiler alert.
Oh, right. Yeah, I almost forgot about that. Yeah, good call.
Yeah.
Maybe
I was on
maybe a
mute
triple
when
bill,
Derek's.
actually. Maybe a
I was
triple
on
bill,
mute when
actually.
Derek's. But when he said that the pink baby Yoshis, I was laughing my ass off.
They did, right? When he's like when he just hatches out of the egg.
Yeah.
Pink baby Yoshis.
It's funny because my kids were just watching a movie again. I was like, hey, what? That'd be messed up if I was like, hey, want to see some other Yoshi?
Father of the Year, folks. But like I said, if you're into that, wacky early 80s kind of stuff, or, you're just one of those that you've seen it all and somebody wants to say, hey, have you tried this? Definitely go for it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, definitely a fun.
Cool.
Even if you're not 100% on board with what you're seeing, or maybe not on board, but maybe you're not 100% understanding everything that you're seeing.
Yeah,
it's still a pretty fun time.
Yeah, just because, like I said, everybody just call each other like second cousin or mistress,
exactly.
Or they call each other by titles in the family rather than their names, or like maid or slave or
Slave.
Yeah, everybody just keeps going by their like nickname, by their titles, instead of like getting into definitive names. So it's like really hard to keep track of who's who. But overall, yeah, you're really you're into that kind of genre. It's gonna be a fun time.
I'm just laughing here now. Like, imagine if they had a scene where it's like, "Hi, Mom 1, Mom 2, Mom 3." All the moms talking.
Well, they couldn't have done that because the grandmother was the one.
No, I know, Don.
Like I'm saying, but I mean, yeah, I know what you're getting at, but yeah, that would just be weird because they took the family in because the mother had died.
Yeah.
So. But yeah,
Too soon.
If you can get past all that stuff, this is a fun one.
Yeah.
All right. Any final thoughts on the movie? Close this one out.
Don't watch them on YouTube.
Yeah, don't watch it.
Yeah.
On YouTube. Spend the $3.99 and rent it.
Yeah, Michael.
Yeah, you're definitely going for like the bargain basement versions. You suffer through YouTube, so rent them if you can, like a marathon or something. All right. There might still be room in hell, but there's not much time left in hell. So let's round and hear from everyone about what else they can be heard and what's in, and all that good stuff. So Venom, I'll start with you.
Well, for the other three the other with our guest and with Derek, of course we make up No More Room in Hell presents Creature Comforts. Our latest episode 16, is now available. On that one, we look at the 1990 creature classic, Tremors, with our guest host, Brandon Young from The Anatomy of Fear. Really good show. It's a quickie. I can't believe we got out of there as quick as we actually did. I figured we'd be there for 2 hours talking about Tremors because Brandon did let us know that that's actually his favorite creature feature. So I honestly thought it was going to be a longer show. But yeah, we were in and out pretty quick. So it's a fun show, fun episode. So check that out.
Snakes on a plane, yo. Next.
Yes. And he also brought up his love of Snakes on a Plane, which might be a future episode of Creature Comforts. We'll have to see. Let's see. Crystal Lake Gift Shop, still our third episode, is the latest one. That, of course, that is our episode-by-episode retrospective of the Friday the 13th series from 1987 to 1990. I know it's been a little bit since we've gotten a new one of those out yet, but yeah, we'll definitely, the show is going to keep chugging along. I mean, we're going to do all 72 episodes if it kills me, and it might, so we'll have to see.
It will.
It more than likely will. As far as and then of course Fresh Cuts, you can hear Mike, Don, and myself every single week talk about the latest releases in the horror genre. Our latest episode is of course talking about the biggest horror movie in the world right now, Evil Dead Rise. Another fun episode, so check that one out. And then let's see, I have a guest spot on what is it, Joe Blow's horror show. That's going to be later on in the year for the summer series. I have been slated. They're doing the Resident Evil franchise, the Resident Evil cinematic franchise, and I have been tasked with the second film, Resident Evil Apocalypse, which despite being the least favorite of a lot of people, I fucking love. I love Apocalypse.
From what I remember, that's actually my favorite of the franchise as well.
Mine too.
I remember it being the funniest. Like, it actually had funny characters in it, had some of the best action, though
come on.
Nothing beats the shower fight from part 5, I think. Either part 4 or part 5. The first one that was in 3D. The shower fight between the Nemesis and Mila Jovovich in the shower was fucking awesome. But yeah, that second one I remember liking. Granted, I've only seen it the one time in theaters, so this will be a kind of a revisit for me.
Yeah, when she just runs down that building in that movie. Yeah, That's fucking awesome.
That's right. I did watch the first Resident Evil this week just to kind of prep for my watch of the second one.
Marilyn Manson music.
Yeah, exactly. A little much for me, but that's okay. So yeah, that'll be later on in the summer. The episode records next week actually, but I believe they'll be releasing it in like June or July sometime. So I'll obviously remind everyone when that's out. And that's pretty much it for me. April was my
Kill the Cast.
Oh shit, I forgot. That's right. I actually did do a guest spot on the return of Kill the Cast with Jerry Herring and Jay. Myself and Dave Parker, Mr. Parka, actually joined where we looked at, we actually did a roundtable of the dead where we decided to look at zombie movies. And what we did was each host had their top 5 zombie movies of all time. And then we had 3 criteria. That was going to be more of a discussion section. So the second half of the episode is where we try to decide collectively amongst us which one is the most fun zombie movie, which one is the most critically acclaimed, and which one is the most important. I think most people are going to know what we came up with for the most important zombie film ever, but leave that for that show. That episode is available. That one you can find on Legion Podcasts. All the other shows I talked about you can find on the Dark Discussions Podcast Network. That's it for me.
Sweet. Derek, how about you?
Creature comforts. Creature comforts. Creature comforts. Go listen to it. That's
Get
it.
your
I'm
creatures,
out.
let them give you comfort. Yes, Kill the Cast. I was going to listen to that day at work, actually, and I just got caught up things, and then once it gets to it, I tend to listen to podcasts.
Damn it, all the
more.
hell, Mike.
Yeah, sorry. I tend to listen to podcasts more in the morning of my shift, but yeah, I'll have it on tap for Monday. But how about you? What do you got?
All right. Well, as mentioned, I work with everybody else here. So this is, like I said, my podcasting family. With Venom and Mike, we do fresh cuts, so no need to go further with there. With Venom and Derek, we do creature comforts, which, again, no need to go further with there. A few podcasting guest appearances. Like I said, I'm starting my prep work for the DVD Infatuation podcast, which I haven't had a firm recording date on, so I don't know when we're going to get together to do that. So I'm just basically starting just watching the 6 movies that I'm going to do for that, which the genesis of the show is just pick 6 movies and, we'll get together and talk about them. But I'm going to go through that and sort of do 6 movies that represent genres that I like. So, we'll get together and we'll discuss, 6 films I've never seen in genres I like. I'm also on that one hasn't recorded yet, but these next 2 have been recorded. I just don't know when they're going to be released. I recorded with a podcast called Stew World Order. We looked at the action movie Red 2. That one was
I like that.
yeah, I liked it. He didn't, but we'll have to listen to the podcast for that. And I also recorded with the Road to Nowhere podcast, and we did a triple bill of Lucio Fulci movies. So that one was another bit of fun. Both of those were reciprocated ones for podcasts that I did.
Are they called The Road to Nowhere after the Ozzy Osbourne song?
Maybe, because he spells it like nowhere, like your knowledge.
Yeah.
So,
I get you. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of so it's that's the pun with the title. Both of those were reciprocated podcasts because I had the guests for those on my other show, which is called the Horror Countdown, which is basically a topic where a show where me and a guest pick a topic, pick a top 10 list, and discuss it. So every show is a new top 10 list with various topics and various criteria. I'm on my second season now. We've done everything from top 10 Canadian films, top 10 ghost movies, to top 10 Dario Argento films, top 10 witches. And my most recent episode is top 10 scariest masks, which was a lot of fun. So that will you can find that pretty much everywhere.
Was the Night of the Dribbler on there?
No. I thought about it as a joke, but then when I realized that my guest was on the more mainstream side of stuff and wasn't really aware of like the obscure ones, I kind of changed it at the last second.
Oh, I get you.
Yeah. So I had like really wacky kind of offbeat mask, and he was doing like Jason and Leatherface and the guys from You're Next. So I was like, well, he's not really noticing like the main stuff. I'm kind of, I kind of had to like change my list at the last second and kind of like audibled that as one of I had to pull in one of my honorable mentions and make it seem like it was on my list, because
Gotcha.
He wasn't really he's more of like a mainstream fan, so he wasn't really aware of like a lot of the underground stuff, so I kind of had to pull an audible at the last second to kind of give away a little spoiler behind
so no mask from Gutterballs.
Yeah, couldn't do that one either. Yeah, both of those would have been on my list if I would have been allowed to, give my true, legitimate feelings. But yeah, I had to pull a couple at the last second and make them. I had to switch them for honorable mentions just because the guy wasn't really aware of like some of the obscure deep cuts I was picking. So I kind of had to like go through my list when he was doing his, and I had to like change it up at the last second and kind of like, oh crap, come on, what which one can work, which one can fit. Okay, I'll grab you and I'll say you're number 6 or whatever. So I kind of had to like restructure my list at the last second just because, like I said, he wasn't aware of like the obscure picks. But yeah, it was still pretty fun. You can check it out on most podcast catchers. It's under Horror Countdown. So if you've heard my other, hear me on the other shows, you know where to find it. So,
Mike, have you ever seen Gutterballs?
No, I haven't. I've heard people talk about it almost nonstop, though. I should see it.
I know what my next picks are going to be now.
You know what? For as much, I'm one of the biggest Friday the 13th fans that I know. I would never put Jason's mask on a top 10 best horror mask. It's just a fucking hockey mask, guys. It's iconic as fuck. If the list was most iconic masks in horror, then Jason's right up there, potentially at number 1. But if the list is best, nah, dude, it's just a hockey mask with an axe wound in it.
I have Uber Jason.
Uber Jason will work. Okay, I'll go with that because that's actually that his outfit's probably the best part of that movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely on the iconic list, no doubt. It's best. I don't know, maybe if you picked the best, like whatever you feel the best version of Jason's mask is, I can see that.
Yeah, I had
Jason
him on there.
7.
I had 2. I had 7 and I had Uber Jason.
7's not bad. That's the broken one, right? Where you can see
Yeah.
part of his jaw. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's my favorite look for Jason too.
Actually, it's one of mine. Yeah, easily my favorite unmasking of the franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do like
it's a little behind the scenes stuff on mine. So yeah, I had 7 as well, and I had Uber Jason.
Nice.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
All right. Yeah, and Venom covered everything pretty much that I get into. So if you need to hear it again, just rewind it, I guess.
Yep. I carry Mike on my back, so he's on every show I'm on.
And then I just sit on Mike's back.
Jesus, I can't carry both of you. Come on.
Who's up next in our rotation?
I think it's Venom.
I believe it's
Venom?
me. Yeah.
All right.
Big
I know.
Gutterballs.
I was gonna say it's been a while since we recorded. Do you already have yours on tap, or are you still gonna think about it?
I have one of mine picked. I need to pick the other. But I can give you a little hint. We're going to stay in Asia for the next episode.
Oh, boy.
I'll just leave it at that.
Ooh, nice.
Do,
Okay.
do, do, do. Do, 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 do.
All right. Well, Don, I know it's weird saying thanks for joining us because we're like me and Venom record with you every week, but technically this is the other show that you're not on all the time. So Thanks for joining us in hell.
Thanks for joining us, Don.
Nah, I knew I was going to get here in a one-way ticket eventually, and I'm glad I finally cashed in.
There you go.
Yeah, we're on the Thanksgiving. No, not the Thanksgiving. What am I saying?
Yeah, I was.
This is
No,
the
I was on, the
Thanksgiving.
Blood Rage.
Thanksgiving comedy. Yeah, Blood Rage. Yeah, that's the movie.
Yeah, Blood Rage.
Yeah. I think I also did one other one, the Matai zombie one.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh,
that
that's
one was
right.
awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, because that was the Matai weekend. Where,
Yeah, Mondo Cannibal.
Yeah, when Cinema Attack was still ongoing, we did Mondo Cannibal and the Jungle Holocaust one weekend, one day, and then the next weekend we came on and we did Island of the Living Dead and Zombies at the beginning.
Yeah.
So good.
So yeah, that was a fun. That was a great weekend. That was really fun.
Somebody actually asked me this week if I was sick of zombies, and I wanted to kick them in the throat. No, motherfucker, I'm not sick of zombies. That's stupid. Every subgenre of horror is gonna, have examples of quality and examples of garbage, ultimately. And just because there's a lot of shitty zombie movies doesn't mean I don't fucking love the exceptional ones. So yeah, zombie movies I still love.
And a lot of the shitty ones are actually some of my favorites.
And that's the thing, is that the shitty ones can still be incredibly entertaining, like very entertaining, funny.
Zombie 3.
I'm gonna check that out. I am.
All right, cool. Well, thanks everyone for listening to another episode of No More Room in Hell. We'll be back ASAP with number 53 and Venom's picks. Maybe a guest, maybe not. We'll see how that ends up. But until then, let's say bye to our listeners.
Bye.
Later.
Peace.
Pink
Beware
Yoshis.
the pink Yoshis. Beware the pink Yoshis.